Hello and welcome to another episode of Spooky News from Spooky Ventures. I'm your host, Gary Hill. Today is October 4th, so we are officially into October. And the spooky season has really kicked off by now. As we always say around here at Spooky Ventures, and even have merchandise available proclaiming it, spooky is a lifestyle, not a season. But there is something special about this time of year. When the rest of the world is more aligned with that mindset, those of us in the spooky tribe keep the fire alive all year, but it seems to burn a little brighter this time of year. We'll get to the news shortly, but first I need to make a couple of announcements that are mandatory each episode. First, if you want any more information about anything we talk about today, you can find that in two places. First, you can wait until the main part of the episode is done. That's because all the source and more information URLs are included in title cards at the end of this video. You can also find those same links in the details section of the video listing on YouTube. Next, everything Spooky Ventures, and especially this YouTube channel, is supposed to be interactive, so please interact. You can do that by liking our videos, sharing our videos, and subscribing to the channel. You can also do that by commenting. You can even email us at keepitspooky@spookyventures.com. So however you do it, please interact. Now, with all that out of the way, let's get to the news. And for our first items, let's turn things over to our remote reporter, DB Lovecraft. DB, how are you doing, and what items do you have to get us started?
Thanks, Gary. We're doing well out here among the fall colors. I'm going to start with a news article about something you have talked about in the past. Apparently it's not your imagination. Spooky season is getting longer and the people celebrating it are getting more involved with it. The trend started during the pandemic and it's been growing ever since. People are decorating for Halloween earlier and doing more of it than ever before. Halloween is really becoming a much bigger holiday than it was in the past. Maybe that doesn't translate into growth of the spooky tribe, but it might. Either way, it means that more people are doing more to enjoy the holiday than before. It may have started with 12-foot skeletons offered by a home improvement chain, but it's a lot more than that in a few short years. Of course, Spirit Halloween is a go-to destination for Halloween season decorations. If you can't get there though, there's still an option for shopping at the stores. That's because Uber Eats is now offering delivery from Spirit Halloween. I'm sure a lot of people feel that going into the store is a big part of the experience, but if it's not something you can do, it's good to know that there are other options. For those interested in travel experiences to celebrate the season, Peacock and Blumhouse have teamed with the Stanley Hotel to provide special spooky stays. For those who don't know, the Stanley in Estes, Colorado was the inspiration for the Outlook in Stephen King's The Shining. While it wasn't used for filming for the Stanley Kubrick movie, some of the scenes in the miniseries of The Shining were filmed there. During the weekend of October 18th through the 20th, rooms will be themed to relate to several different Blumhouse films, and guests will be given a frightful experience based on the movies. That experience will be personalized for each guest's tolerance for fear. There will also be special screenings and more. Be sure to reserve as quickly as possible, as I would imagine this will fill up quickly. You can get your reservation at the Stanley's website. If food celebration is more your kind of thing, there are options for you too. Starting October 10th, Burger King restaurants will have limited edition menu items tied to the Addams family. You'll be able to get Wednesday's Whopper, Things Rings, Gomez's Churro Fries, and Morticia's Kooky Chocolate Shake. Each offers its own version of spooky fun. You might want to hurry in though because quantities are limited. Sticking with fast food, Sonic has unleashed a new Witch's Brew slush float for the season. It's a caramel apple flavored treat and will be available through November 3rd while supplies last. If your tastes lean more towards spirits of the liquid kind, you might enjoy a new bourbon from J. Mattingly Distillery. Their Bourbon 31 is an alternate to their usual Bourbon 30, and it's meant as a tribute to Halloween. It is a spiced bourbon designed to convey fall flavors. It can be ordered online at their website or purchased at their distillery store. Now back to you, Gary.
Thanks, DB. Turning to the world of movies, there is quite a bit of news to cover. We'll start with some trailers we should talk about. For those excited for Robert Eggers' upcoming Nosferatu movie, you should be happy to know that there's a new trailer released for the film. The movie will be hitting theaters in time for Christmas. I like that timing because it seems October is a bit crowded and cliched for horror movie releases. Next, there's been a new teaser trailer released for a new version of House on Haunted Hill. That is a movie that is near and dear to our black hearts here at Spooky Ventures because our remote reporter D.B. Lovecraft and resident horror host Scary Gary recently ran the original in an episode of Spooky Movie Time with Scary Gary. Now, there was another remake of the movie in 1999. This film differs from both of those versions in that it is a found footage movie. There's a big tie to the original version in the cast and crew. Vincent Price's daughter Victoria is an executive producer on the film and is also in the cast. I really like the teaser trailer and am looking forward to seeing this movie. If you missed the experience of seeing the original Texas Chainsaw Massacre in a theater, now is your chance to fix that. The movie is celebrating its 50th anniversary, and as part of the celebration, it will be returning to movie screens. And tying this to the previous two items, there is a new trailer announcing that re-release. Next, we have some news about a couple movies that are a little further down the pipeline. The first of those is Guillermo del Toro's adaptation of Frankenstein. The main news that has recently come out about the film is that shooting has wrapped up. Del Toro's vision of the story is a more faithful adaptation of Mary Shelley's book, or at least that's what's being reported. There isn't a lot of information available about the film yet, but as a fan of both the story and Del Toro, I'm interested in seeing this one. Another that I'm excited about is the upcoming James Wan version of Creature from the Black Lagoon. My favorite monster of the original Universal Monsters is the Creature. The news that has recently come out is that they have decided on the writer for the screenplay. That writer is Sean Tretta. I know we're a long ways out from seeing a finished product, but I'm just happy to know that this project is moving forward. Now, with some home screen horror news, let's get back to DB.
In news that is sure to disappoint fans of the show, the Chucky TV series that was airing both on USA and Sci-Fi has been canceled. The third season of the show finished earlier this year, but the official announcement that there would not be a fourth season just came recently. The latest movie in the Alien franchise, Alien Romulus, is coming to the small screen. The digital release on streaming services will happen on October 15th, while physical media, including a 4K edition, will be released on December 3rd. The 1986 Rutger Hauer horror film The Hitcher is getting a new 4K Blu-ray edition. The movie has never had a Blu-ray release for US players, but this new 4K edition will change that. The film will hit retailers on October 22nd. It might be hard to believe, but the horror comedy Shaun of the Dead is 20 years old. To commemorate that anniversary, a 4K Steelbook and standard 4K Blu-ray edition will be available on December 3rd. That's it for our home entertainment news for this time, so I'll send it back to you, Gary.
That brings us to the end of the actual news. If you have seen a few of these spooky news updates, you'll know that we give you dates from our spooky calendar at the end of each episode. That calendar is something we here at Spooky Ventures curate for you. We include dates that should be of interest to fans of all things spooky. Before we get to that, though, let me remind you of a couple of things. First, you can find sources and more information, URLs, about anything we talk about here in two places. You can stick around to the end of the video where we include them as title cards. You can also find them in the details section of this video. Secondly, don't forget to interact with Spooky Ventures. You can do that by liking and sharing our videos and subscribing to our channel. You can also do that by commenting on our videos. Finally, you can always send an email to us at keepitspooky@spookyventures.com. Now, we'll be turning things back over to DB for a look at the calendar, but if you want to see the full calendar for yourself, just go to the main page at spookyventures.com and scroll down to find the link.
Thanks, Gary. Looking at the calendar, today, October 4th, is Anne Rice's birthday. There are 3 new movies opening today: Haunt Season, Little Bites, and Monster Summer. Tomorrow, Saturday the 5th, is Clive Barker's birthday. Guillermo del Toro, who you talked about earlier, Gary, has a birthday next Wednesday, October 9th. Terrifier 3 hits theaters on Friday, October 11th. And that wraps up the next week of important dates, so I'll turn it back to you, Gary.
Thanks, DB. That brings us to the end of another episode of Spooky News from Spooky Ventures. If all goes as planned, we'll be back in a week for another episode. In the meantime, remember, spooky is a lifestyle, not a season, so always keep it spooky. Spooky Ventures is the home for spooky content and spooky merchandise on the web. Check it out today at spookyventures.com. And remember, always keep it spooky.